Hey everybody, today we're going to be taking a look at what I'm going to call the real reason why the Fire-Lite BG-10 pull stations were recalled. For anybody watching this who's not familiar, about 10 years ago in 2013, the BG-10 pull station series was recalled. And there's a website out there that's still up to this day, I'll probably link it in the video description, that gives an explanation and what dates of manufacture stations are impacted. There's still a form out there where you can order replacement parts to repair any of these stations that are still in service. Although basically the page says if you do have one of these out here in a building, Honeywell Fire-Lite is recommending that they be replaced. Obviously, that's up to the discretion of the facilities manager, building owner, whatever. That is the recommendation that's out there on the website. Anyways, the reason we want to focus in on the real reason for the recall is, first of all, it's pretty easy to identify on the inside of these stations, regardless of trying to chase down, dates of manufacture and whatnot. And also, if you're, familiar with this industry or just, familiar with these models of stations at all, you'll know that these kind of have some old ghosts, I'll call them, that follow them around. First of all, these have been kind of questioned for their reliability for a while. It's known that if there's kind of a solid downward blow to the front of these stations, they can activate pretty easily. There's a video out there containing the famous phrase, Seawood Watch, where an individual smacks one of these with a 2x4, and it sends in an accidental alarm. Then we also have the well-known issue, so well-known that Fire-Lite actually had to provide a warning on the inside of the station, that when you tighten these down to the back plate, there's a small gap that remains between this plastic standoff that's molded here and this piece of metal in the casting here that actually contains the threading for the screw. So what happens is when you drive this screw in here, when you're fastening the front of the station back, there is some play in the assembly where if you tighten this screw in too far, you can actually crack off the back of this plastic molding, which could result in the front of the station just falling open and reporting a false alarm. Again, neither of these are the actual reason for this recall. The actual reason for the recall doesn't have anything to do with, it looks like this one is still slightly stuck closed, doesn't have any issues to do with reporting a false alarm. It actually has to do with the station not reporting an alarm at all, and the unlikely suspect is this rubber O-ring that provides a seal around the switch body. You can see here it's just kind of floating around the shaft of the plunger actuator in the switch. But if I go ahead and hold this closed, you can see that this kind of provides a seal between the actuator on that switch and the rest of the switch body. Now, this particular pull station is not affected by the issue, so when I let go of that switch, you can see it springs back into place very easily. There's no deterioration on that O-ring, it's in good condition, it's not dry rotted or anything, so it doesn't impact the operation of this switch in the slightest. However, this unit here, which we'll focus on, is one of the ones that is impacted symptomatically by the recall. I would assume that both of these stations, because they have that ring, are technically impacted by the recall, but this one actually exhibits the issue. So you can see, unlike the other station, the rubber on this ring has deteriorated severely. If I kind of pick at it here, it's very sticky, and you can see that it's coated both the body of the switch and the underside of this plunger here on the switch. If I move it around a little bit, you can see that there's a pretty even coating all around. You can see even part of it's kind of flaked off there onto my fingernail. And so what happens is, if I hold this switch in, and we're going to use a little bit of imagination here, because I'm only going to hold this switch down for maybe 10 or 15 seconds. But when these are installed in an actual facility, other than annual tests that you would hope would be run, this switch could be held down for years at a time while that rubber seal deteriorates. And so what'll happen when I release this is this switch, at least momentarily, stays completely put. So although the front cover of this station is open, you can see it clicked back into place there. So although the front cover of this station was open, or alternatively you could think of it as the handle was pulled, this switch remained in the open position. Therefore, it did not register an alarm. We can go ahead and do this again. And like I said, I'm just holding it down for a couple seconds, and because of that, it's springing back into place in a couple seconds. But consider years and years and years of this being, sandwiched in place here with this O-ring deteriorating. And that's what will cause these stations to fail to report an alarm condition if somebody were to pull them. Now, like I said, kind of briefly earlier, there are replacement parts you can order on the website that's set up for this. The replacement part is actually that O-ring. So what Honeywell or Fire-Lite is recommending you do is you go in, take some isopropyl alcohol, you clean off that kind of deteriorated O-ring really good from the switch, and then you'll reinstall a new rubber O-ring onto that switch body if you wish to continue using the station. So if you're curious on reading up more about it, I'll put a link to the documentation for the recall. Again, it came out in 2013, so this is nothing new. But that'll be in the video description if you want to read up more on it. But yeah, that is the real reason for the 2013 recall of these BG-10 stations. Hope you guys have a great day. Thanks for watching.